guys, this is Austin
and Jon,
and welcome to another episode of the Meatgistics podcast. Today we do have another guest with us, so it's a special episode. We've got Mike Christensen from Pass It On Outdoor Mentors. We're going to get to him and explore a little bit about who he is and what he does. But first off, we always have to start out with the most important thing of the day, the beer of the day. So for today, since we have three of us again, we just kind of bought something that we wanted instead of Jon and I buying for each other, which I kind of like these better because then I know I get something I really like. So
absolutely,
we may have to go to this route more often. But today I have a Renegade Brewing Company beer. It is the E3 Endpoint Triple IPA. It is amazing. Just, I mean, hoppy beyond all belief. When you get this high of an IPA, it's definitely going to be really malty. I'm not as big of a fan of the maltiness, but I love the bitterness of the hops. So
yeah, I can smell
I'll deal with it
from here. It smells god awful,
but it's also like 11%.
Well,
so
I mean that's pretty good.
That's fantastic.
That might be worth a little bit of a heartburn to enjoy. I have Prairie Artisan ales. It is their America. It's an American farmhouse ale. Unfortunately, the best thing I can say about it is it's fairly easy drinking and it's 6.6%. Taste-wise, this is definitely my least favorite thing from what is an amazing brewery. I mean, Prairie is absolutely, if you haven't had the bomb, go out and find Prairie Artisan Ales. I think from Oklahoma. Yes, they're from Oklahoma. And the beer is called the Bomb. And then they have one around Christmas that's called the Christmas Bomb. They are incredible. But I'm just not a huge fan of this one, sadly.
I think the best beer so far is still my triple IPA. So just buy an IPA next time.
He's got Harp.
Well, and so I said so far. So what do you think of yours, Mike? What do you got?
Well, I'm a whiskey and Scotch fan myself, but this is a nice beer. I grew up on Coors, but yeah, I like the Harp. It's real nice and smooth. Tastes great.
Very easy drinking beer. We didn't know what you would want, so we got a couple things. And I did get a sour for myself, which I'll definitely be dipping back into after this.
So have you had the Harp before, Jon?
Oh, yeah. Yeah,
okay.
I was practically weaned on Harp. I've been drinking that a very long time.
Okay. I've never had that, so I have no idea what kind of beer it's like.
Are you familiar with Bass Ale?
Yeah.
Do you know what a black and tan is?
Yeah.
So in Ireland, they would never use Bass for a black and tan. They'd always use Harp.
Okay.
That wouldn't go over well. That was back in the days when England and Ireland weren't getting along so well, to put it mildly.
Yeah.
So,
gotcha. Yeah. Okay. So next thing up, let's talk a little bit to Mike and figure out what he does and who he is. So Mike, in a nutshell, can you just kind of run through who are you and what do you do?
Mike Christensen. I'm president of the Pass It On Outdoor Mentors program. I started with Big Brothers and Big Sisters in 2002. I headed up a new program for them to create an outdoor mentoring program to recruit primarily men. Big Brothers, Big Sisters has 75% of the kids on their waiting list are boys. So they need more men. They looked at the outdoor demographic and said, that's a lot of guys. Maybe we could get some of them to take the kids out. And so I had an opportunity to step in and start that program in 2002. We spun off as a separate nonprofit in 2006 and been having a lot of fun taking kids outdoors, hunting and fishing.
So why did you get started? Like what made you change and start doing more of this?
I had an IT career. I was in the IT business for 28 years. That was a challenging career, and I really enjoyed it. There was a lot of excitement to it. The industry's changing, keeps changing rapidly even today. But this was after 9/11, and we had done some things with the kids in 99 on just taking some kids out hunting type of thing. And they had asked me to help figure out how they could set up an outdoor mentoring program statewide in Kansas with Big Brothers, and had a few discussions with them. And one afternoon, the gentleman that ran the program said, well, how would you like to do this full time? I sat there for a moment and I said, well, yeah, I think that'd be pretty cool.
Yeah.
Get to take kids hunting and fishing full time.
Yeah.
And he said, well, the first thing you need to do is go raise enough money so we can pay your salary and then we can get you started. So
Yeah.
That was my introduction to the nonprofit world right there.
Nice. And yeah, that's always the catch. That's always a hard thing when you're starting up is the fundraising. So for you to have started out and you guys to still be going this long, and from what I see and what I know, you guys are definitely still growing. There's still more and more going on. In fact, we were talking off air about one of the new things that you guys have going on with Brittany. Do you want to just cover quickly? Because we'll probably try to have Brittany on and talk more about that. But what are you guys doing new there now?
Over the last few years, we saw what was happening in high schools with the trap shooting program. The COVID thing kind of got in the way of things this year, but last year they had 74 high schools in Kansas that had trap teams. Well, there's only 152 high schools. So almost half the high schools had trap teams. 1,800 kids were shooting trap in Kansas last year. This year, if it hadn't been for the COVID, there'd probably been well over 90 teams and well over 2,000 kids. All of the kids, well, not all of them, probably 99% of the kids take hunter ed. They have to have some sort of a gun safety to get on the team. Most of them take hunter ed. They've all got shotguns. And we looked and no, there wasn't any effort being put forth to take these kids out and take them hunting. So in the fall of 18, we tried it with a few of the teams. We did some dove hunts and pheasant hunts and got a few kids deer hunting. It went really, really well. The kids really enjoyed it, and there seemed to be a lot of acceptance to it. So we got busy and raised some money and got Brittany hired a year ago, June, and she's really hit the ground running. We're really excited about it. We had some great results last fall, and now we're looking at expanding into Iowa. The Iowa Department of Natural Resources asked us to come up there and put together a pilot program. They've got over 4,000 kids in Iowa that are shooting trap.
That's an insane number.
Nationwide, the numbers are just growing like crazy, and what a great thing. We went out to the state trap shoot here in Kansas last year, and they had over 1,000 kids, boys and girls, from 7th graders on up. But there were even 2 kids that were competing from wheelchairs. So it's a sport that anybody can participate in, which makes it really, really great for all of the kids that want to get out and do something neat.
That's cool. And I love hearing those numbers just because I do sometimes look at like what we do here is a byproduct of some of the hunting and whatnot. People then making sausage at home, but I sometimes see it as a little bit of a dying hobby. And to see that we're getting more and more kids interested in shooting and hunting and that whole thing gives me encouragement that it's not something we're going to lose or something that's going to go away.
We've got some real risks there. There's a Council to Advance Hunting and Shooting Sports, and they're working very hard to this. They call it R3, recruitment, retention, and reactivation. Yeah. And all the state agencies across the country are really concerned about the decline in license sales. I mean, it's a real problem. And we have to do something to turn that around. I'd like for my grandkids to be able to do a lot of the things that I was able to do, more things. I mean, there's more hunting now than when I was a kid in Kansas. But we want to be able to provide that hunting heritage for the future generations. And if it's not for the hunters out there, then we lose all the conservation efforts that have gone from the years, from all the things that Ducks Unlimited and the Turkey Federation and all these other conservation groups have done. If we don't have new hunters coming on board, all of that goes away, and that'd be a terrible thing to see happen.
Absolutely. And we've covered this, I mean, briefly in past episodes, but if there is going to be something that comes out of this last 3-4 months of our lives that's positive, it is more people looking at other ways to source meat and looking at going out into the field and getting it themselves. So hopefully when we're talking about this next year, we're talking about what a great year for licenses 2020 was. I mean, I have to believe that that's going to happen.
Fishing licenses have seen a huge boom. I mean, people can't do anything right now, so they're all going fishing. Yeah. It's been great for all the fishing stuff, and I hope to see that continue for the hunting stuff. We've been really tickled with what we've been doing with the kids on this high school trap shooting program. We surveyed the kids last year at the trap shoot, and 80% of them said they hunted, which was kind of surprising to us. I didn't expect that high of a percentage. But when we started working with the kids, we found out, well, they don't hunt very much. You know, they maybe go out once or twice a year. Some of them deer hunted, but they've never been dove hunting. They haven't been pheasant hunting. They hadn't been duck hunting. So what we're trying to do with this program is really give these kids a chance to get out and experience all that Kansas has to offer, hunting wise. And we've got a lot.
Very cool. So my last question for the moment is how people can get involved and help support the organization and donate. And one of my favorite ways that I want to ask you about and see if you can explain more on is the Gun a Week raffle. What is that Gun a Week raffle, and how does that help you guys out, and what's involved there?
The Gun a Week raffle is one of our main fundraisers. We give away a gun every week. We sell raffle tickets, one for $50. That $50 ticket is in all 52 drawings through the year. And even if you should win, we never throw that ticket out. So that ticket could win multiple times. And we have had people win multiple times. At the end of the year, we take all 52 winners and put their names in a pot, and we draw a second gun for them. So somebody is guaranteed to win 2 guns out of the drawing.
That's awesome.
So it's been great for us. We've been doing this for a number of years now, and unfortunately, there's a lot. It works so well. A lot of other organizations are doing it too. There's lots of Gun a Week raffles out there now, but you know, we have to buy the guns. They aren't given into us. So we really appreciate all the support we get from folks stepping up and buying the tickets and participating.
So, John, have you ever won this Gun a Week raffle?
I was just going to say, for anyone who's not watching, is listening, I was giving Austin a death glare because when we were on our way up to the Pheasants Forever annual show.
Pheasant Fest?
Pheasant Fest, thank you. I'm sitting in the front seat with your dad, and he goes, "Oh, look at this." And he looks over, and it's the Gun a Week thing, and it said Austin Walton. And I just got so angry, so mad. So you've won multiple guns from this over the years, right?
So just to make it worse, this is not the first time I've won.
Third? Or is it second?
At least second, maybe third. At least second.
But you've been doing it a lot longer than I have.
Yeah, I've it's been many years since I started.
But it's a simple way to make sure every Wednesday you have something to look forward to. You might constantly be disappointed, but it's still it's a good thing to support, and it does add some fun to my Wednesdays. I won't lie.
Yeah, so it's $50 for 1 ticket, $100 gets you 3, and you can get tickets for those by visiting outdoormentors.org. But if you haven't heard of it before, or you haven't bought any, you definitely need to, because like John said, it's fun every Wednesday to get that email and go, was it me? Was it me? Was it me? Was it me? So
I get a lot of phone calls every week saying, "You spelled my name wrong again."
Yeah.
We have that with giveaways a lot too. Yeah. They're like, "No, that's not me." We do one during the live stream, and we make the person be present, and we'll get a lot of "yep" or "here" people responding when I'm like, "That's not your name. Like, we didn't call your name. Stop doing that." But no.
Yeah. Well, from there, do you want to jump straight into mystery meat?
Yeah, go for it.
So are you going to tell me, is this a snack stick seasoning? It looks like a snack stick.
I really don't want to tell you anything. But yeah, it's a snack stick seasoning. It is, I put no cheese into it. Give you that little bit of extra advantage. See if you can figure out what it is. Once again, Austin is scrolling through all of our snack stick seasonings like this is a fair game.
I should really know what this is.
Why?
There's a distinct flavor to it, but I'm not picking it out right now, but I know there's a distinct flavor to it.
I mean, I've never told you this, but there is an option that's nothing, where I just make pork in a stick.
No, this has seasoning in it.
That's always an option. Could be nothing. Yeah, keep scrolling through, read every seasoning and try and match it up. This is I don't do this, by the way.
You could,
but
it's totally legal.
I feel like it's cheating.
It's fine. It just gives me an advantage. I think I'm wrong, but I think I have a guess.
Go ahead.
I'm scrolling through one last time to make sure my mind is not playing tricks on me.
Okay.
This is pepper stick.
Oh, thank God. No, I really worried that the So this is a very non-spicy snack stick. And there is one that we talk about a lot that is a really good snack stick, but doesn't have a strong taste to it. Does that help you at all? It's not a strong taste, but it's a good taste.
Is it ranch?
It's ranch.
Ah,
Yes.
that's not fair because it tastes nothing like ranch. I don't know what type of ranch flavor, because there's all different types of ranch flavoring. It's not all 100% the same, but whatever they're going for here, it always disappoints me that it is a good snack stick, but it's not what I expect.
It's a very good snack stick, but even if you add the ranch dressing to it, like the powdered ranch dressing, which I've done in the past, it's still not a strong ranch taste.
Yeah.
We should get a ranch high temp cheese.
That would be good.
They've got to make it.
We do have to buy like 2,800 pounds or something at a time.
I'll eat 2,800 pounds of ranch myself.
As long as you think we can sell it, we can do it.
So for those scoring at home, it is still 1-0.
Hey, I'm still in the lead. The only thing I could have done today was advance my lead. So
pretty much.
It doesn't hurt me at all by not getting it right. So next up, let's go back and ask a few more questions to Mike. Mike, what kind of events do you guys host for the kids, and how do you get them involved with your program?
Well, we have two kinds of things that we're doing with kids now. And one is our traditional thing that we've done since 2002, where we work with kids in the Big Brothers and Big Sisters program.
Yeah.
And for that, we're looking to recruit mentors. We're looking for more guys like you guys to step up and become mentors for a kid. And what we're looking for there, we're looking for folks that will spend time taking these kids hunting and fishing and give these kids opportunities to get outdoors. We found the number of kids that I've taken out that live in Wichita that have never seen a cow. I mean, it's staggering. And we were out in Dodge City, and we did a shooting clinic, and some of the kids came out. And we had a 12-year-old boy come out, and driving to the gun range that day was the first time in his life he'd been on a dirt road.
Wow.
From Dodge City. I mean, how far do you got to go in Dodge City to find a dirt road? And this kid had never been on a dirt road. Kids today don't get out. And so it's very important that, from a conservation standpoint, that we educate as many folks as we can on what conservation is all about. And as we all know, hunting is conservation. Yeah. It's all about conservation. So we're trying to get those kids out from the Big Brothers and Big Sisters program and give those kids opportunities to get out. And now with our new shooting sports outreach program, we're also trying to get teams, trap teams, to go out together. So we do dove hunts, and we do pheasant hunts, and we do waterfowl hunts, and we've got deer hunts, and we do turkey hunts, and we're looking at doing some squirrel hunts this summer. And
that would be fun.
Yeah.
Virtually anything we can do. Yeah, we just had a meeting earlier this week with the folks at Evergy up at Wolf Creek, and they're going to have us. They said, "Hey, we're having trouble finding kids to fill our hunts." They do 12 deer hunts and 12 turkey hunts every year, and they were having trouble getting enough applications. And they heard about our program and reached out to us, and we said, "Well, yeah, we can fill all the hunts you want. We got plenty of kids." So
that's perfect. That's awesome.
But we were talking to them, and I said, "Hey, do you have squirrels up there?" And they said, "Yeah, I got a lot of squirrels." So we said, "Well, maybe we'll come up there and do a squirrel hunt here before this summer's over."
For anyone at home who has never squirrel hunted and you live in the suburbs, it's not the same squirrel. They are wily. They know you're out there for them. They will stay on the other side of the tree. They will stay dead silent. They know what you're up to. It is a difficult hunt that I've been unsuccessful on before.
It's not the same squirrel like in the city that runs up to you on the sidewalk and is friendly with people.
They know you mean danger when they're out there. Yeah. So yeah, it is different.
So Mike, do people out there have to be either in the Wichita area or even the Kansas area to get involved in this?
No, we're what we do with our traditional program. When we recruit a mentor, we want them to work through a mentoring organization like a Big Brothers, Big Sisters, because those folks know how to do the mentoring. They know how to do the background checks. They make it safe for the kid and for the mentor. And so anybody who wants to get into outdoor mentoring can reach out to their local youth mentoring organization and say, hey, I'd like to get matched up with a kid, and then spend your time a couple times a month, take that kid out and go hunting, go fishing, go hiking, give those kids opportunities to get outdoors. Because what we found is kids served by organizations like Big Brothers and Big Sisters have virtually no opportunities to do any of this kind of thing at all.
Yeah.
And it's a shame. I mean, if you look what's going on in our society now, they took Elmer Fudd's gun away from him, for heaven's sake.
Oh, are you serious?
Oh, yeah.
What?
Yep. And
Yosemite
Sam. Yep.
Oh my gosh. That's news to me, and that's very depressing.
It is.
So, I mean, we have to give these kids opportunities to get out and experience what the outdoors is really like. And the only way that a lot of these kids are going to get there is if we find a mentor that's going to take them by the hand and go.
Cool.
And give them positive interaction with firearms.
Absolutely.
Yep.
It's all about,
Oh, yeah.
it's all about something positive. I mean, when I first got started with the Big Brothers organization, the guy that ran it was mentoring a kid, and he lived down in the rough part of Wichita. And when he took this kid out and the kid harvested a turkey, he said it was just a momentous event for that kid. There'd been murders in that kid's neighborhood. I mean, people died around him, but when he pulled the trigger and learned what that finality was all about, it was a big deal for that kid.
Yeah.
And I don't think that's something that we can just gloss over. It's something that people need to learn and come to grips with and experience that, see what that's all about.
Yeah, very cool. So kind of along those lines, what kind of responses do you get from kids who've been involved with the Outdoor Mentors program? Obviously, like you said with the turkey hunt there, obviously very good. But do you have other examples or stories, anything that pops to mind about?
I'm going to tell one of my favorite stories. I call it the Hamburger helper story. I got a call from a guy. He was coming back cross country. He was a car salesman. He picked up a car down in Georgia, and he was driving back 2:00 in the morning. He's listening to Sirius, and he caught Scott Linden's podcast, and I had interviewed with Scott, and they were playing that one. And the guy calls me up Monday morning, and he said, Mike, he left a message. He said, Mike, God called me to reach out to you. I need to become an outdoor mentor. Well, I haven't spoken to a lot of people that God's spoken to directly, and so I didn't return his call. And he called me the next day, and I didn't answer that one either. And he sent me an email, and I didn't answer that one either. And and finally, he got me on the phone, and he lived up in Paola. And I said, well, here's what you got to do. You got to go to Big Brothers, and they'll do the screening on you. I'm figuring, okay, if these a little on the Looney Tune side, Big Brothers weeds those people out.
Yeah, yeah.
And they matched him up with a kid named George, and Bruce was the mentor, and he took George to every event I had. I did a pheasant hunt in Garden City. Bruce drove George all the way to Garden City to go pheasant hunting that day. Every event I did, we did a pheasant hunt in Abilene. We did a pheasant hunt in Glen Elder, and Bruce took George to everything he could. And he got a report card from the kid that year, and the kid's grades were up. The principal said on the note, they didn't know who George was anymore. He had changed.
Yeah, that's cool.
His personality had changed. He'd become a different kid. And deer season rolled around, and Bruce was a member of a deer club up there. And they had a lease, and they had this big 9-point buck on trail cam. And everybody tried to get it through archery and through muzzleloader, and nobody had tagged him yet. Bruce asked him if it'd be okay if they took George out and harvested a doe. And the guy said, yeah, absolutely. And oh, by the way, if he gets a shot at that big buck, have him take it. Well, you know how that goes.
Yeah.
Here comes the big buck out, and George harvests this big 9-point buck. Well, George's family didn't have the resources to pay for a locker to harvest it, to process the meat. So Bruce took it home, and George and him processed it in his garage. And as they're grinding up the burger, George says, would this be good in Hamburger Helper? And Bruce says, well, yeah, it'd be great in Hamburger Helper. The kid said, oh, that'd be great. We've been eating Hamburger Helper for the last 6 months, and we haven't had anything to put in it.
Man.
When Bruce called me Monday morning, he can't get this story out. He's breaking up.
Yeah.
I mean, it was just that impactful for him. But that's the neat thing about mentoring in general is what I hear more and more from all the people who get into mentoring is that they get more out of it than the kids do. And we see tremendous results from kids. I mean, Big Brothers has all kinds of studies showing how great mentoring has an impact on them, positive impact. But we see that the mentors get more out of it than the kids do. It's really a tremendous experience. And we see these kinds of things with kids all across the country when they have these opportunities to have these kinds of experiences. They're very meaningful experiences and they're life experiences. They're things that you can really relate to and take with you.
That's really cool. I love that story.
Yeah, because without that kid is never going to have a positive interaction with wildlife. I mean,
No.
that's just not going to be something that he gets. And it is something that every American deserves. So.
Absolutely. I mean, this country is so great because of what we have conservation-wise. And here in Kansas, we got it in spades. I mean, we have pheasant and quail and ducks and turkey and squirrels and rabbits and deer and antelope. I mean, a wealth of hunting opportunities here in this state. And it's just a shame that more people don't get out and take advantage of it.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah. Maybe, like we said before, maybe the whole COVID thing and people wanting to source their own meat will help kick off the whole outdoor industry again here. We'll see what happens.
Yeah, that is the hope for sure.
We're back now, and the next subject is meat matters. John?
Yep. We're going to talk about they're getting some laws pushed through with the aim of reducing regulations on meat packers. What we're trying to do here basically is make it easier for small to medium-sized meat packers, which are a lot of our customers, make it easier for them to sell out of state, to get some additional USDA inspectors coverage, because the USDA can be tough on their inspectors. The inspectors can be tough on the processors, but some of that is pushed down from what they're getting told they have to do.
Yeah, and some of it is even just getting an inspector to be there while you're processing right now, because when you have overtime, you have to pay the overtime rates for that inspector. But a lot of these small guys, I mean, can they handle it and cover it? Sure. But what they're trying to pick up the slack from these big guys that have shut down, because four companies control 80% of the meat production in the U.S. basically. And when they have any type of hiccup, the small guys are trying to pick up the slack because people are going to them instead of the grocery store. And now they're having to pay overtime and pay for that inspector being there when they don't normally have to do that.
Yeah, and we talked about this last time, but in Iowa, they sent out a call to any small processor who could even carry one extra hog in a week. So if you're asking for all that, to then put that cost on the owner is just, it's counterproductive. You're going to force people back. They're going to say, no, I'm not going to do that again. I had to pay the OT for our inspector. We had all these other things. So if the goal really is to keep our meat supply chain healthy, we do need to make some changes to how we're doing things, at least temporarily. I would argue that we try to keep these permanent, but I mean, if it's temporary, it's better than nothing.
So some of the things they're looking at trying to do is change up Hasip regulations, which we won't get too deep into what Hasip is. Hasip is HACCP. I know that doesn't quite make total sense, but trying to make Hasip more flexible for small processors. We could probably have a whole episode on Hasip. I don't really
we could have
want
a series on Hasip, but everyone would go to sleep.
Yeah, it's basically guidelines that everybody has to live by and abide by, and have a Hasip plan on how you're going to produce a product, what the steps are involved, and you have to follow it to the letter. It has to be validated. There's a lot that goes into it that it is a bit of an issue at times for the small processors, but trying to make those guidelines a little more flexible.
But they are also involved in creating their own rules. It's not like the USDA is handing these down to them. this is exactly how you have to do it. They give them some options and they create their own. Well, with help of other people, they create a Hasip plan.
Yeah, but they have to prove that it works and prove that it's
absolutely.
safe and then validate it also. While they do have some flexibility, it's also it still has to be approved by someone higher up.
100%, yes.
They're also trying to get clearer guidance on labeling of meat products. That's always great because labeling is a nightmare.
So is that the 9 CFR?
Some of it anyways.
Not all of it, but okay.
Maybe. I don't think it's all of it, but yeah.
Because I know that can be a nightmare. I read through a bunch of that for last two podcasts, either last podcast or 2 podcasts ago, and my head was spinning by the time I made it through a full paragraph. I'm like, wait a minute, where did I start? None of this makes sense anymore. I mean, it is government gobbledygook talk to the nth degree. It's crazy.
So one of the things I hate about labeling the most is, Mike, have you ever been to the grocery store and have you seen something that says uncured bacon or uncured ham, anything like that?
No, I think all the ones I've seen are cured.
Okay. It's usually bigger companies. A lot of the small guys don't do it, but it'll say uncured whatever your meat product is. And they're labeling it as that, saying that they don't put any nitrites in it, no cure, but they still are. But it's just they're doing it in the form of like a vegetable instead of a manufactured nitrite product. And it just changes how you label it because someone sent a lobbyist to Washington to say, we should do it this way because I think we're going to sell more product by labeling it like this.
Absolutely.
And so then it puts a requirement on everybody to follow these guidelines that in my mind are kind of nonsense.
Yeah, and I think you would find a lot of support for that exact statement in some university labs. I'm pretty sure they feel the same way, that are we almost being misleading by labeling this no nitrites added? Because we're adding nitrites. They're just ones you find in root vegetables. I'm curious as to whether you read down further on our list of meat matters before you brought up that specific point or not. Because
no.
I do want to talk about this.
So what's that all about?
Today I actually found it's called ProSure, and I'm almost positive. I'm having some trouble figuring out exactly, but I'm almost positive it is not in the US yet. But it claims to be at least a truly nitrite-free cured meat product, and they have dried meats. So
you can't be uncured without having nitrite, though, unless you're putting something else in that's still gonna get.
I don't know. Now they do say they're using spice extractives and some vegetables, but they're saying not celery, not beet. So those are the two. Celery and beet are the two that most. So celery replaces nitrites because it has a lot of nitrites in it, and beets replaces or acts similar to sodium erythorbate, which is a cure accelerator. So if we're making a sausage, right, and we're curing it, we're going to mix our nitrites in, and then we're going to let it sit for 12 hours before we smoke it. This is going to allow the nitrites time to break down into nitric oxide and actually provide the curing power for the meat. You can add something called a cure accelerator. Sodium erythorbate is a popular commercially available one that speeds up that reaction from nitrite to nitric oxide. But they're claiming not to use any of this. So I'm really, really interested. And I just have to say, from a looks standpoint, I mean, they're dry cured, I don't know what it was, salami. It looked like salami, but maybe it was pepperoni or something. I mean, it looked perfect.
I'm going to be doing more research on this over the next week because, I'm intrigued now.
I requested some samples. I explained what we do.
Wait,
and
seriously?
Why, yeah,
okay,
and why we wanted it. So that would be pretty cool if they can figure that out. I mean, I don't have a problem with nitrites. I don't think the vast majority of our customers should or do have a problem with them.
Some people do or have the stigma.
Sure. So
bad,
if we can make more people eat cured meat with the simple replacement, then great.
Yeah. So speaking of eating more meat, Mike, I want to ask you a question and see, do you think your meat consumption over the past 3 months has been below normal, about average, or higher than normal?
Well, I think we've been about normal. I don't think we've had many changes. The COVID
Okay.
thing really hasn't impacted us too much. Maybe that's not a good thing that we're,
Yeah.
but no, we really haven't seen much of an impact in our household.
Okay. So yeah, the next story we have is where are meat sales at, and they are fairly level. They're down 2.8%. I actually kind of expected it to be a lot lower. I expected that to be a double digit number and say, yeah, we had a hefty decline in volume of meat sales. However, even though we're down 2.8%, nationally, they're up 18.7% in revenue. So even though they're down 3% in sales of volume, they're up nearly 20% in revenue. That's kind of crazy because it was at least a couple weeks ago. I don't remember when we were talking about pricing on cattle,
Yep.
on beef, and cattle prices are at historic lows. Farmers, ranchers, they're getting less money for their cattle right now. And then usually the large producers out there, the small guys to an extent, I think with the custom processing, I don't think it affects that as much. I think it's grocery store and retail prices, but they are at record levels.
Yep.
The highest prices. We just quoted out some steaks for our yearly Walton's steak cook-off, and I about choked when I saw what that price was going to be for 1.25 inch, 1.5 ribeyes. We need like 180 of them, and I was like, holy crap, that's a pretty penny.
On the way home from lunch today, I knew I wouldn't want to stop after this, and I knew I wanted a Casey strip tonight. So I stopped just at our local grocery store, and I've never paid that much for steak. I never. It was 19 something, and it's not a huge strip steak. I'm like, whoa.
Yeah.
But I wanted it, and I wanted to get out of there and move on, so I paid it.
Yeah. I think that's what we see from the big producers having some plant shutdowns, and also the big four producers out there right now have been sued again for price collusion. So we'll see where that ends up. But it seems fishy to me that cattle prices are at an all-time low, but our beef and meat prices are at an all-time high.
Now, the obvious, like the generous idea behind that is that they're having trouble getting those cattle from the kill floor to the finished market because they have less processors. So they have to pay overtime. They're having to pay. I mean, so that's the generous.
I do think the costs are higher.
Right.
I question if they're that
Yes.
high.
Yes.
Yeah. So I don't know. We will keep you guys up to date on that because I think this is something that's probably going to continue for at least the next few months. So unfortunately, you'll probably hear more from us on this and probably more whining and belly aching going on as John and I complain about how much it costs for a steak. So next up, I think we're done with Meat Matters unless you have anything else. Okay. Let's flip it back over to Mike again. Mike, one of the funnest things, minus the weekly gun a week email I get, the one single event that you guys do for fundraising at Pass It On is the Bust a Clay for Kids' Sake. I'm still very disappointed that we had to cancel / postpone. Can you give any details? Are we still looking at having a Bust a Clay this year? And what, for those out there that don't know about it, what is Bust a Clay?
Bust a Clay is one of our big fundraisers. We go over to Flint Oak, which is, for folks who've never been there, it's an outstanding facility. I mean, it's a 5-star lodge. The food is phenomenal. We shoot sporting clays. What we do is we ask everybody to raise a minimum of $500 in pledges to come. And then for that, the weekend's on us. So they come over Friday night and we have a nice dinner there at Flint Oak. We generally have a speaker come in. We have an auction. We have raffles. And then Saturday we get up, have breakfast, and we shoot some knockout. And then we shoot around with sporting clays. have lunch and pass out the raffle prizes. And again, it's a big fundraiser for us. We do quite well with that. I was really disappointed that we had to put it off this year. Last year, we had a speaker lined up, and at the last minute, he canceled. He canceled the day before.
Oh, man.
Friday morning was it Friday morning? No, it was Thursday. Thursday morning, I got a call, and they canceled, and they said, but we'll find somebody. And I'm thinking, no, don't bother. And they said, no, we'll find somebody. They called me Thursday evening and said, we got somebody lined up. They'll be there Friday afternoon. I'm thinking, who's available to come to Flint Oak in the middle of nowhere, Kansas, on that kind of notice? And so the guy gets there last year, and he's phenomenal. I mean, he did this sleight of hand stuff and this mentalist stuff, and I mean, he just blew everybody away. He was phenomenal. And the feedback I got from that was, Mike, we're really kind of tired of hearing folks come and talk about R3 and how we have all these problems, and we really like to just come and have fun. And so going into this year, I thought, well, let's see what we can put together. And so I'd reached out to Nick Hoffman, who has a TV show on the Outdoor Channel. I think you guys are one of the sponsors.
We're one of the sponsors, yeah.
And so Nick was going to come and entertain. I'd seen him at the Governor's Pheasant Hunt a couple of years ago, and I mean, he's an outstanding fiddle player. Mm-hmm. And he was going to bring his wife, Natalie, who's also a Nashville recording artist. And then Nick is involved with the guy that was runner-up on The Voice in 2018. And he was going to bring Chris Croce along with him. So we were going to have great entertainment that night. And then COVID came along. So I haven't got final word from Nick whether he's going to be able to come. We are planning right now to do it the last weekend of August 28th and 29th. Okay. So we've got it on the calendar. We're going to proceed like we're going to have it, and because we need to raise the money for it. Sure. We're going to have a pretty busy fall, and we need to have some money to make all that happen. So
if we're doing this at the end of August, I'm kind of disappointed because I'm used to going out there. It's usually it's varied over the years, but I'll say the last few times has been springtime, May-ish, and when we're walking around shooting, it's very nice weather. You're gonna make us come sweat our tails off this time, aren't you?
It might be a little warm. It might be a little warm. Yep.
That's fine though, because not while we're shooting, but during other times there's beer available, so it's just gonna increase the beer drinking, and maybe that's gonna help with the bidding on the live auction.
That could help,
because
I'm sure it will.
I've been guilty of that, I will say.
Everything we go to, you're always guilty of that. We have more pictures here than we could ever possibly hang on a wall. We change it up back there every once in a while, but we have dozens more that we could switch it out to.
Yeah. So for those that don't know, I have a slight issue with buying photos and prints. And anything that has a picture on it in a frame. And I have gotten a few of those from Mike's Bust a Clay event, also from other Pheasants Forever events, Quail Forever banquets, Ducks Unlimited, National Wild Turkey Federation.
That's why we go there.
Yeah, Friends of the NRA. I mean, there's so many of these groups have like banquets and events, and I don't go to as many as I used to. I used to go to every single one in this area, and I would still even go to ones further out. And it's probably good I don't go to as many because, I think I'm up to like 45, maybe 50.
Sure, that's a good idea.
It's entertaining though. Is that not a nice picture behind?
They're very nice. They're very nice. There's no question about that.
But that's my weak spot is buying stuff at the auctions and when it's in a pretty frame and a photo. So, Mike, what are some other ways that people can help raise money for outdoor mentors? Maybe if they're not in Kansas and they can't come to Bust Clay, or for whatever reason they decide not to do Gun a Week, which they'd be an idiot not to sign up for Gun a Week because that's the best thing ever. But one of the things I know of is listing outdoor mentors as a donation recipient on like the Kroger program. So at any Kroger, Dillon's, you can assign outdoor mentors to get a donation off purchases.
That's correct.
What else is involved with that program, and what other programs maybe are out there that you can do something like that?
The Kroger one is real nice. We get a quarterly donation check in the mail, which is great. All you have to do is go to the Kroger website, and they've got a link that you can go and select from a number of nonprofits. They've got a lot of them. we like pass it on, but there's a lot of them on the list. Amazon has a similar thing. When you go to Amazon to shop, if you start with smile.amazon.com, then a percentage of your purchase goes to the nonprofit you choose. And again, they've got a lot of them. Again, Pass It On is one of them. We like getting checks from Amazon as well.
Yeah.
But we also get grants. We apply for a lot of grants from foundations and organizations like that. The Ken Corbett Foundation or the Justin Corbett Foundation up in Topeka. We get a grant from them. The Kansas State Rifle Association has been a great supporter of us. Federal Ammunition has been a longtime supporter of our program. They're the quote unquote official ammunition. That's what we shoot out at Busted Clay. When we're out with the kids, that's what we're shooting is federal ammo. But we're working with a lot of folks like that. Walton's has been a tremendous sponsor for us. In fact, Brett is now on our board of directors, and we really appreciate all the support that Walton's gives us as making all this kind of stuff happen as well.
Who is Brett?
I'm not really sure. The name rings a bell, but
We don't know who that is.
I'll let you guys deal with that one.
So as far as any or other sponsors, anyone else who helps you out that you want to point out, I mean, that Amazon thing is great. I do tend to buy a lot of things through Amazon here.
Well, I think everyone does.
We will absolutely start doing that. So we'll help you out in there. Is there anyone else?
Great.
Or
those are the Amazon and Kroger, the ones that are the shopping ones that I'm aware of that we use. But again, working with a lot of different companies and a lot of the conservation organizations help us out. We get support from last year from the National Wild Turkey Federation and several of the Pheasants Forever and Quail Forever chapters in the area help us out with donations. And, it's just in everybody's best interest to get more kids outdoors. And that's what we're all about.
Yeah. And I think that's the thing that, honestly, I think sometimes people lose is that the goal in all of this is just to get more kids outdoors. There's a lot of fun things we get to do in supporting Pass It On, like going to Busted Clay and doing the Gun a Week raffle. But at the end of the day, all of it still comes down to getting more kids outdoors.
Right.
Because if we don't, then
what are we doing it for?
Yeah.
Right. If we're not getting future generations involved, it's going to dry up on us when we're older at some point. And there won't be all these wonderful places to go out to. We work with some other organizations that clean up areas that are underserved. So if you want to support something that's a generally good thing to do, I mean, not only are you taking kids from underprivileged types of backgrounds who will not have the chance to experience the outdoors like most of us did growing up. And they get to do that, but they're also doing tons of other great things. I mean, it's not just hunting. That kid being able to hunt early in his life has a better experience with firearms, has a better experience with responsibility. You're improving kids' lives with this. So
yeah, and I think Mike talking about trying to get people hooked up to Big Brothers Big Sisters. It's not just outdoors. I mean, it is overall a mentoring program that there's more than just the outdoors to it. The outdoors, I mean, we love to see, but Mike, what overall, like, can you tell us what is one of your like favorite memories or something that you just have that sticks out in your mind through everything you've done with helping out the kids and the Outdoor Mentors program? Can you give us a story on something that's...
And real quick, before you get into this, remember, if it's much more emotional than the
hamburger helper
I'm
one,
going to cry. So just calm it down a little bit.
There've been so many. I mean, every hunt, there's something memorable about it. We took some kids from the Mays High School on a dove hunt, and I was talking to a couple of the girls there, and they'd been deer hunting, and one of the girls had shot a nice big deer, but they'd never dove hunted. And they commented, boy, this is a lot more fun because they get to shoot a lot.
Yeah.
So giving the kids those experiences. I know we were hunting deer up at Glen Elder one year, and I was with a young man, and he made a nice shot on a deer and shot it, and I went to give him a high five, and and he just reached in and gave me a big hug. I mean, the kid was just so overcome by everything. And that was kind of neat because I had a chance to shoot a deer also. In fact, it was the first deer I ever shot. Once we'd shot, and when we were hunting the refuge at Glen Elder, we stood on the dam at Cocker City and looked over the refuge, and we could count over 200 deer at 2:00 in the afternoon.
That's crazy.
It was. And I mean, it's like hunting the feedlot almost. But this young kid had got his deer, and of course they ran off, and we're sitting by these hay bales, and I love to take a nap in the afternoon. And so I set the little kid on top of the hay bale blind. And I said, I'll take a nap. You let me know when they come back. So it hadn't been 15 minutes. This little kid's going, Mike, I got a plan. And he'd seen some deer off in the distance, and we could sneak up on him. So we went down in this break and got up close to him, and I harvested my deer that day. But it was just the reaction these kids have. I mean, and I tell people that one of the things that I've really come to appreciate with all this stuff in the outdoors, because we work with kids from African American backgrounds and Latino and Native American, and I mean, and the thing that I've found is that Mother Nature is colorblind. She doesn't care.
Yeah.
The kids react all the same. When you take your first deer or your first turkey or your first pheasant or catch your first bass, the excitement is there for all those kids, and that's what we want to do. We want to have all these kids get opportunities to experience that and have the fun that we all know and love and experience out there. It's just letting them have fun.
Yeah. I love seeing like my little kid at home. He's like 16 months old. When he does something he thinks is fun, he gets a big smile on his face. But that's gotta be like the tiniest little bit over what a kid is going through emotionally, and the smile that comes across them, and not only from their smile, but their whole body is just overwhelmed with joy when they do something like that. Like watching them take a first deer or just a big deer, anything that they can get, I'm sure, just gives them a different level of excitement than they're used to.
And the neat thing for a lot of these kids, especially the kids that are growing up in disadvantaged backgrounds, is the sense of accomplishment and the sense of responsibility that we give those kids. I mean, we're taking kids from inner city Wichita, disadvantaged backgrounds, and I'm putting a gun in their hand. I'm taking them hunting. And for these kids, that's a big step. Somebody trusts them enough to take them in the field with a firearm.
Yeah.
And we're putting that trust in these kids' hands, and we're putting that responsibility in these kids' hands. And they accept it, and they embrace it. And it's really neat watching them grow through these experiences.
That's awesome to hear. And I'm just to make it a slightly lighter note. I've told you and your father this story before, but since he brought up dove hunting, the second time I ever went hunting in my life, first time was turkey, second time was dove. I went out, I was in Dallas, Fort Worth, and we went out on a guy's land. He had like a couple 100 acres, I feel like. And we all drove in one truck and parked, walked across the field. We're sitting there waiting. All of a sudden, a bunch of doves come up. I shoot. I look to my left, to my right, and no one else is shooting. And I'm like, oh, what have I done? I'm like, instantly, I know I've done something wrong. And all of a sudden, you hear ting, 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 ting. Yeah. His truck was right in the background. I peppered his truck. I felt so bad. So I could feel him staring daggers in my hand. I was just staring right at him. Like, nope, don't make eye contact. Don't make eye contact.
That's perfect. I love that. From here, Jon, do we want to hop into what's on the table for those that are watching on YouTube, and for those that aren't? Can you describe what we got going on here?
Absolutely. So we have created a new sections of Waltons. It's called Snacks. So it's waltonsinc.com, then /snacks. And we have our Terrapin Ridge Farms, which honestly, they have been so good.
They have some of the best sauces and jams.
They're all great.
Aiolis.
They are all great. And the one thing that's not out here, which I'm realizing now, is the everything aioli, which is amazing. But anyways, they've got some pita chips. They've got butter pretzels, which are really, really good. We've got some chocolate graham pretzels, which are amazing.
Yeah, those are good.
Dangerous.
I already got a bag of those at home for my son. Mostly for me, but I told my wife they're for my son. So,
but they're dangerous. You could eat that entire bag real fast. And then we've got a honey mustard with a dill pickle flavor. I mean, that doesn't even sound that awesome, but it's absolutely amazing.
okay, to each his own, because
That
I was
amazing
the
to
most
you.
excited about that over anything else.
So I was most excited about that, the Hatch green chili cream cheese.
Yeah, I figured you were going to go nuts over that.
That is awesome. I mean, not only great as a dip, but if you want to flatten out a chicken breast, a pheasant breast, anything like that, wrap it around that, put some bacon around it, unreal. Absolutely unreal. So Terrapin Ridge Farms, again, everything we've had from them has been awesome. And I don't know how many of these bags are going to be available for customers to buy because I've already taken a few out of stock.
We bought many cases worth. I think there's maybe like 3 to 4 of each kind left. There's
cases or
no bags. Bags.
Yes. I was going to say, I think we've eaten more than you think we've eaten.
Every time I look, like John has a new bag opened, and I gave him free sample bags I got from the manufacturer, and then he's opened these ones, he's opened other ones. John's running through them like.
They're very good.
Yeah.
They're very, very good. I highly recommend those.
No, we have plenty of stock, so if something sounds interesting, give it a taste. My opinion, you can't go wrong with Terrapin Ridge. So
they are excellent.
Okay. Do you want to talk about the next recipe? Because I have no idea what you're trying to do there.
So that is Spatchcock Quail. We did that with we recently created a new seasoning. We're calling it, BBQ, or it's bold barbecued quail. It is absolutely delicious. We were going for almost like a KC style rub. So what we did with this is we took quail, cut out the backbone, spatchcocked them, which all that is really you're breaking the breastbone, making them flat, rubbed it with both sides of that. Then we coated it in Excalibur's sweet and tangy barbecue sauce, which is absolutely awesome. And for anyone who's a fan of Arby's barbecue sauce, it's super similar. I mean, it's absolutely great.
Not to hit on necessarily a pattern, but is there a pattern? Every time you bring up a barbecue sauce, you're like, oh, this one matches so-and-so.
No.
This one matches so-and-so.
Nope, not every time. It's always that one. And it's always the fact that it's, I said the wrong one. I'm sorry. Wendy's.
Oh, okay.
I said Arby's. I'm sorry.
I was remembering Wendy's and you said Arby's and you're confusing me. So Wendy's.
I misspoke. It is Wendy's. It is awesome.
If anyone followed that,
it's so good.
Props to you.
Yes. So we went ahead and we cooked it on medium high, breast side up, so that we didn't go ahead and just scorch it, because you will if you try to cook it at that heat with breast side down. We flipped it, coated it again, cooked it with the lid up for like 2 or 3 minutes, flipped it back, coated it again, and they were absolutely excellent. Now, we didn't remove the breastbones or the rib bones because I don't really feel like you have to on quail. I mean, it's a finger food. I mean,
it is.
But you can. It's really not that hard. But yeah, absolutely one of my in the top 3, I would say, for all of our Game Bird gourmets, number 1 is still, and I think always going to be, popcorn chicken with the Bloody Mary seasoning and the breading. Oh,
yeah.
So we did, we just mixed some flour with our Bloody Mary seasoning, did a triple egg wash with little slices of pheasant, and deep fried them. They were unbelievable. Close on that heel would be the snack sticks, pheasant snack stick with pork fat. Those were insane, and this is right up there with them. Really, really good.
Very cool. So are we done with recipes?
Yeah, don't forget that.
Yeah. So a couple other things left. I have one last question I want to ask from Mike, and that is, if someone wants to get involved, if somebody wants to donate, obviously we haven't said it so far. You guys are a 501c3, so everyone knows, like, donating to you guys does get a tax deduction
That's correct.
Consult your tax advisor for
That's right.
all details there. But what is it that you want everyone out there to know about you guys? How can they donate, and how can getting further help out there further the mission that you guys are here for?
We need two things in our organization. We need mentors, and then we need the money to put on the events. The number one need we have is mentors. We need more men and women to step up and volunteer to spend time outdoors with a kid. I can't tell you how rewarding that's been for me over these last 18 years. I've gotten way more out of it than what I feel like I've put into it. It's spending time with those kids and seeing their reaction and watching them grow through their time in the outdoors it's just one of those priceless things. And I encourage anybody with a passion for the outdoors to spend a little time taking somebody out and let them experience the outdoors. The other thing we need is the dollars to keep this program rolling. As we mentioned, we're really excited about our shooting sports outreach program that we've launched this last year. We've got it going here in Kansas. Our goal is to at least double, if not triple, what we did in Kansas this year. And then we've got things started in Iowa, and we're looking to expand to some other states as well, where we can identify shooting sports programs that want to get these kids out and going. So it all takes a lot, but I think the rewards for the outdoors community and for the folks that step up and be mentors are very, very worthwhile for all of us.
Very cool. Not to transition too much, but it also almost kind of sounds like a good spot. If you want a reward for listening to the podcast today,
all the way to the end.
If you want a reward for listening to the podcast today, you can use the coupon code PassItOn612. That will get you 15% off your order and free shipping up to $100 of a discount there. And that will end 2 weeks after this episode is released. So you have 2 weeks from the day this is out to use that 15% off and free shipping up to $100 in total value. That coupon code is PassItOn612. So past that, Mike, thank you so much for coming in today. I had a blast. I hope you did too. John, honestly, we really don't care what you thought about the whole thing. So
nobody ever does.
Well, thank you guys for having me, and we look forward to having you join us out at Buster Clay, and look forward to both of you signing up to be mentors soon so we can get you out with some kids and have some fun. We're going to have a busy fall coming up.
Yeah, sounds great.
I can imagine you will. Mike, thank you so much.
See you guys next time. Thanks, everybody.